All right, so today we are diving headfirst into the whole Nick Rekieta saga. You know, lawyer turns internet personality, and then, well, things kind of took a turn.
Yeah, and it's a story that's pretty well documented, believe it or not. We're going through this massive thread from Kiwi Farms, which, if you're not familiar, it's a forum online, and let's just say they are known for thoroughly documenting internet personalities and all the drama that seems to follow.
Thorough is an understatement.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
they've got forum posts, social media updates, photos, even video clips. It's a lot to unpack, but it really gives you this almost day-by-day account of Rekieta's rise and, well, his fall.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure. And to really grasp how big this got, we need to rewind a bit, go back to those early days, like back when the whole Maddox versus Masterson lawsuit was blowing up.
Right, because that was like the first real taste of internet beef actually going legal. And Rekieta, with his legal background, he was able to break it all down. Make it something people could actually understand and even, dare I say, be entertained by.
He was a pioneer in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Using YouTube, using those super chats, he created this whole interactive space for legal commentary, which back then was unheard of.
Right, he wasn't just this talking head. He was engaging with the audience live, taking questions, responding to those super chats, all while, sipping his whiskey and breaking down these complex legal documents.
Yeah, it was like a recipe for online success, and it really took off, especially during things like remember the Weeb Wars?
Oh, how could we forget? For those who weren't around for that, weeb it's like a term for, well, people really into anime, Japanese culture, that kind of thing. And there was this whole series of feuds online. And, well, it got messy.
It got very messy, and Rekieta was right there in the thick of it. And then, of course, there was the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
And that's really when he solidified himself as that whiskey-drinking lawyer, the champion of free speech, the voice of reason in this increasingly chaotic corner of the internet. I mean, he was on mainstream news, Glenn Beck's show, he was everywhere.
And I think it's important to remember the image he cultivated during this time. He wasn't just a lawyer. He presented himself as this family man, a devout Christian, very much espousing those conservative values. Which is important to remember because it plays a huge role in why everything that happened in late 2022, early 2023 hit so hard.
Because that's when the cracks start to appear, right? Rekieta law becomes less about legal analysis, more about, well, Nick Rekieta, the man behind the lawsuits.
Exactly. And the content shifts.
Yeah.
It becomes erratic. There's a lot more alcohol involved. And there's this fixation on sexually explicit content.
Right. The Balldo makes its debut.
Yes. And while some might have said, oh, he's just being himself, you have to consider the audience he built. These weren't just casual viewers. They connected with this persona. The family man, the conservative lawyer. This shift wasn't just a change of pace. It felt like a betrayal.
And it's not just the content. He's canceling shows, ranting about hating legal cases. It felt like this carefully constructed facade was crumbling, and what was left underneath wasn't pretty.
And that's where the spiral begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, things really went downhill from there. Then there's the whole hedonism Thursic thing, which, that just threw fuel on the fire.
Oh, yeah, that's when those vacation photos pop up. And it's pretty clear Rekieta is at this, well, it's not exactly a secret what goes on there.
Let's just say it has a certain reputation.
Right, and Rekieta dances around actually confirming the location. But come on, the pictures, the stuff he's talking about on his streams, it doesn't take a genius. And I think that's what really set people off this hypocrisy, right? The conservative family values guy seemingly living a completely different life behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it just shows how complex these online personas can be, right?
Yeah.
He built this whole platform on this image, this sense of trust with his audience, whether he meant to or not. And when that shattered, it was more than disappointment, it was betrayal.
And instead of backing off, he seems to double down. Talking about psychedelics, nude beaches, even alluding to, well, let's just say public activities. Not exactly the whiskey-drinking lawyer we were used to.
And this is where things get really messy because we start to see the parasocial relationships come into play. And that's where the Imholtz enter the picture, Steel Till Morning Show. Another screaming couple.
And they were really all in on Rekieta at first.
Oh yeah, defending him, even joining in on some of those more unconventional streams, let's call them.
The hot tub stream, we don't need to relive that.
Agreed. But it's not just some silly online drama. It shows how easy it is to get sucked into these echo chambers online. And the Imholtz, they got caught in the middle of their own lives, becoming part of Rekieta's downward spiral.
And then, of course, the whole thing implodes.
Spectacularly. Aaron Imholt, he goes from Rekieta's biggest supporter to his biggest critic. spilling the tea on everything. The marriage, the drug use, the increasingly erratic behavior.
It's like something out of a soap opera.
Right. And it all stemmed from Imholt's own marital issues, his need to expose the truth as he saw it. But it was through him that the curtain was pulled back on the real Nick Rekieta, someone struggling with addiction, lawsuits, and the complete destruction of his carefully constructed image.
And that brings us to, well, May 2024, the infamous Coke stream. That's when it went from bad to much, much worse.
You've got Rekieta clearly not sober, rambling, acting erratically on camera, a new low even for him.
Yeah.
And he's in the middle of lawsuits, his reputation is shot, and then this happens.
And that leads to the raid on his house.
Yeah, someone tipped off the police, they get a warrant, and what they find is, well, it's not good. Drugs, guns, and worst of all, kids, right there in the middle of it. Rekieta, his wife Kayla, and April Imholt are all arrested. Drug possession, child endangerment, the whole 9 yards.
And that's when it goes from online drama to something else entirely.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't about bad decisions or online meltdowns anymore. It's about the well-being of children. And then reports come out later that one of Rekieta's kids tested positive for cocaine.
That's just heartbreaking.
It's a complete 180 from the family man image he'd been pushing, and it makes you wonder about what was really going on behind closed doors.
So does Rekieta own up to any of it at this point?
Nope, not even a little bit. He doubles down, calling everyone bootlickers, saying nobody has the full story. He's lashing out at old friends, calling them liars, saying they're all out to get him.
But the thing is, you can only deny reality for so long, right? I mean, the numbers don't lie. Viewership's down. People are unsubscribing left and right. Those super chats are drying up. It's like the whole Rekieta empire, the one built on internet of fame and donations. It's crumbling.
Yeah, it's a classic case of how fickle internet fame can be. The same people who build you up can tear you right back down.
And it's not just the viewers, right? Even his close friends, the ones who stuck by him through everything, they start to bail. Drexel, who he always talked about being best friends with since childhood, gone. The Kiwi Farms thread is full of screenshots, messages, you name it. It's like a digital graveyard of broken friendships.
It's kind of sad when you think about it. The guy who used to have thousands of people hanging on his every word, surrounded by fans. Now he's alone, facing the music.
So what happens to Nick Rekieta now? What's next for the whiskey-drinking lawyer?
Well, he's got a mountain of legal trouble. Jail time is a real possibility. There's the custody battle over his kids. And his reputation, the one he built on being a lawyer, a family man, that's gone. It's hard to imagine him coming back from this, at least not the way we knew him online.
It's a cautionary tale, isn't it? The internet, it can be amazing, it connects us, but it can also be incredibly destructive.
Absolutely. It can magnify the best and the worst of us, and sometimes there are very real consequences.
Rekieta's story, as wild as it is, it's a reminder that online personas, internet fame, it's all temporary. And that behind the screens, the carefully crafted images are real people. And their lives are affected by all of this.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Where does the act end and the real person begin?
Right. And that's something we should all be thinking about as we spend more and more time online. Because as we've seen with Nick Rekieta, the line between online and real life, it can get blurred. And the consequences are very, very real.
Well said.
And on that note, that wraps up our deep dive into the rise and fall of Nick Rekieta. We want to hear your thoughts on all of this, though, so head over to our social media and let's discuss. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and as always, thanks for diving in with us.